Welcome, Crypt fans, to the Cryptique Podcast. My name's Kenny. I'm here with my good friend Godden, and together we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. Tales from the Crypt. Oh, so excited.
Tales from the Crypt.
Let's go. Hey, episode 39. Here we go. We're almost done with season 3. We got an episode left, making this the penultimate episode of season 3. How about that?
It's exciting. I hope the last episode leaves us with a good way to end season 3. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. By the way, I'm looking at our little calendar shindig here, and we of course record ahead of time, so we're kind of off. So I have a little calendar here that I keep track of, and it turns out that the season finale for season 3 is going to air. Now, when you're watching this, it's going to be obvious because next week, according to you, is Friday the 13th. I had to look on my calendar to figure that out. But the point is, the season finale of season 3 is going to be on Friday the 13th, Godden. How about that?
Exciting.
I can't think of a better way to celebrate the finale of a Tales from the Crypt season, rather than celebrating it on Friday the 13th. That's neither here nor there. As of right now, today, we are here to talk about season 3, episode 13, Spoiled. It aired August 21st, 1991, and it comes to us from the Haunt of Fear. Now, before we get into this episode, here's our normal disclaimer. If you're a regular listener, you're probably bored at this point, but I got to tell you, we are not experts. I've done no research. Godden, how much research have you done?
It was all emotional research to make sure I enjoyed the episode,
Yeah.
Well, just a little bit of research if it's curious enough, yeah.
I watched the episode and then it just gets filtered through my brain and then out it comes out the mouth. I'm just here to babble on about this episode. But that's where you come in. That's where you come in, listeners, because we have some really fantastic listeners out there. We have a lot of people out there who come through on the comments and share information, and that's what we're looking for you to do. So come through, let us know what we get right, what we get wrong. Let us know opinions you agree with, opinions you disagree with. So we're welcoming you into the discussion as well, fellow viewer from home. Okay. So with that out of the way, let's go into the episode. So according to the ancient texts, inked in human blood on human flesh, spoiled. She's married to a doctor. He's married to his job. And the cable repairman has caught her eye. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I got one. I spun one up here. Janet is spoiled. She lives in a beautiful home. She's married to a handsome and brilliant surgeon. There's only one problem. Her husband is so preoccupied with his medical research that he has very little time to spend with her. Lonely and desperate for affection, Janet begins having an affair with the cable guy. Can Janet continue the fling without her husband finding out? Or will everything be spoiled? Come on.
We'll see. We'll see if things will get spoiled.
That was such a good ending. Oh, I managed to use spoiled twice.
I got away with it.
Oh, that was great. That was so good. Okay. That's enough blowing smoke up my butt. All right. So this episode, Spoiled, this is basically sexual innuendo, the episode.
Pretty much.
There was so much. I laughed. Almost every line got me. It was such a great episode for dialogue. I had just sometimes the sexual innuendo and the puns were coming at me so quick that I missed half of them. It wasn't until I watched it the second time when I was like, oh my God, he said that too. So this episode took me a long time to get through because I wrote so many comments because just the dialogue was just so rich. And I'm worried that going through the episode is going to take a long time because I just have so much written. So we'll see how quick we can get through this. Godden, what are your general thoughts on this episode before we dive in?
I enjoy it. I'd watch it again to see if there's more, like you said, dialogue that I might have missed, because it was a lot of fun just listening to like them talk. Because I also forgot at one point, this is a Tales from the Crypt. Like, where's the violence? Where's the murder? Yeah, most cases we're just along for the ride, and it's a fun little adventure that Janet goes through. And you're like, oh, will she get away with it? Will it get spoiled?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, she's ridiculous.
She's ridiculous,
and so is Abel. Okay. So the Crypt Keeper intro, I actually like this Crypt Keeper intro a lot. He's got his feet up on the table. He's got his golf clubs nearby. He's basically golfing, and his caddy is basically a skeleton laying beside him. He goes, "Hello, golfing fiends, and welcome to the Crypt. Oh, don't mind him. That's just my caddy, Juan. He got me teed off while I was playing around, so I shot a hole in Juan." I laughed out loud at that one. That was good. I gave it a good chuckle.
I liked it.
Which brings to mind the young woman in tonight's tale. She's also playing around, except that her game isn't golf. It's love. I call this disgusting drama spoiled. This opening intro, I liked it for the dialogue. It was good. It was funny. I felt the golf angle was a bit weird. Like, I felt like it was only barely loosely related to the plot. Like, because the husband is a doctor, and doctors are known for playing golf. That's really the only connection that I can kind of make out of that, though. It was kind of wasn't a big fan of it.
That would not have been my reasoning for the connection.
What do you think?
What
were you thinking?
No, I actually have no clue where the tie-in would be for his golf intro, because I do like when he ties it in with the theme, but I did not think doctors would just go out and golf. I don't know, it's like a primary hobby, if that's an actual statistic.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. It's a wealthy person's sport.
Oh, okay.
Doctors and lawyers and whatnot, they all play the golf. Yeah, if he was like watching a TV show or like a soap opera, that would have made a lot more sense. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I don't write the show.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the opening panel, which is looks like we have a woman there caressing a man. That turns out to be Janet and Abel, by the way. And behind them is the husband who's catching them lying together. But then, of course, there's the TV in which you see basically modeling the same exact thing. And that's kind of a running gag here too, is that the whole time Janet is just so desperate to live the life she's seeing on TV. So that's also like something to consider while watching this episode. Like, how much does TV influence you, right? How much of your life do you create trying to mirror what you see on TV? So that's kind of an angle they're doing here. So that was kind of interesting to include that in the opening panel.
This is a very, very colorful panel. Honestly, there's a lot of colors popping in, and I do like how it's just a 1-to-1 ratio what's actually happening in their reality just being portrayed on the TV. It's just, like you said, they're trying their best to recreate their life through what they see. So yeah,
in the TV the guy has a gun, but in real life he doesn't. Oh, he should be holding a scalpel, huh?
Oh, that'd be funny.
The doctor should be holding a scalpel. Oh, that would have been good. No, darn it, I should have drew this. All right, so the opening scene, we're in an office, and a woman is walking hurriedly through the office. She tells the secretary, "Hold his calls," and then she walks into the office of a man. And he's on the phone. He's kind of busy. He's facing away from her. She reaches and she grabs him and she hugs him. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm trying to effectuate a successful merger with my husband." And he's like, "What do you do? I don't have time for this. I'm busy. Like, go away." So she leaves, and she immediately just goes right to basically the most handsome man there at the office. And his name's Quebec, by the way. She goes, "Quebec, come to my office." And they go to her office. She closes the blinds and he sits down, and she sits on the table right next to him. And she goes, "I've been keeping an eye on you." And he goes, "On my work? No, on you." You're like me, Quebec. I could tell. You've got an empty void in your life. We're like two lost travelers in a loveless, dark, frozen world. And this is how she talks. She's so very dramatic. But while she's saying this, she's going from sitting on the desk in front of him to like moving, basically sitting on his lap with her legs sprawled all over him. And he's just sitting there like dumbfounded, like, what's going on? He says, but your husband. She says, forget him. I see something in life I want and I take it. Do you understand? Rules aren't for me. You are for me. And they start to kiss. What do you think about this opening scene here?
I love this opening scene because I thought this was the episode until the next scene came in. I was like, oh, this is a really... Because I'm like, oh, this is very soapy. Like, it's so soapy. I'm like, whatever. We'll push through. We'll see what happens next. And I'm glad.
This actress, by the way, I don't know the actress name, but her name in the show is Fuchsia. This is Fuchsia, and she's the main character of this sitcom that these girls, not sitcom, but the soap opera that the girls watch.
Yeah.
So I love this opening too, and I thought it was hilarious. I love the overacting. I just liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought Fuchsia was great. The fact that the guy's name is Quebec, I don't know why, but that made me laugh so hard, like Quebec. So, this is a TV show that these two girlfriends watch. So, as the camera pulls back, you find out, oh, it's a TV show, and we're actually in the living room, and there's these two girls, these two women. They're just enthralled with this show. They're both like, oh, like they're just so into the show, and they're folding laundry while they're watching this show. And this is Janet and her best friend Louise. So they're just basically they're a couple of girls or a couple of girlfriends who probably get together on the daily, and they just do household chores while watching their favorite soap opera. So they're over at Janet's house. They're folding laundry. They're talking about this show. And Janet is just so desperate for passionate love. She sees herself in Fuchsia, this main character in the TV show, and she wants to be just like her. And Louise says, what are you talking about? You are living the dream. You're married to a doctor. And Janet says, but he's married to his work, his stupid research and fancy pants operations. I want Fuchsia's life. I want passion and romance. And about this time, this is when the husband comes in. And I don't know if you noticed this, by the way, but the whole aura of the episode, the way it's lit so far, like in this living room, is so bright and airy. And the two girls are just they're very airy. They're very lively and just floaty. The moment the husband walks in, I don't even notice this, but just the way he's standing there is just so glum and glib. Like he walks in, like all the energy in the room just got zapped out in this moment. And she asks, honey, was your operation a success? And he says, yes, but the patient died. He says, if only my new anesthetic was ready, we could have done the impossible. We could have frozen the brain and performed the most difficult transplant. Damn. And then she goes, damn. She kind of just, mirrors what he says. Then he says, well, I got to go work in the lab. So he disappears down. Basically, their basement is the lab, right? But when he closes the door, a red light comes on. And so that red light means he's busy, he's working, leave him alone. At this moment, Louise leaves, and Janet's there by herself, standing kind of just alone, and she's staring at that door where her husband disappeared behind. And she sees that the light turns off, and he comes back, and he says, darling, what a fool I've been. I've been wasting my time exploring medical science when I could have been exploring you. And she says, well, Christopher Columbus, welcome to the new world. I could not get through a scene, even a 2-minute scene I couldn't get through without having to pause it so I can type out exactly what was being said, because the setup and knockdowns were so great. And I love this episode. Well, Christopher Columbus, welcome to the new world.
It's so good.
This, of course, was a dream because she's interrupted by Louise, who comes back and says, oh, by the way, I think these are Leon's, like the underwear ended up in her laundry. Leon, by the way, is the husband. So what did you think of this whole opening scene?
I thought it was really funny. Like I said, I was not expecting the transition from the original soap opera that was playing to be like the actual episode itself, because I really thought the initial soap opera was the Tales from the Crypt episode. But I also liked how, I guess, how dramatic the girls were about watching their show. They're like, oh, they're like swooning and enamored by, like the love affair that was happening in the office for the episode. So it was just really funny, like how taken away they were by like this kind of show. Like this is like what everyone yearns for, in their relationships, is that passion, that like risk. But so far I'm enjoying the characters. I don't hate anyone. Like everyone seems great. Even Leon. Like the operation was a success, but my patient died. But because of me, I'm gonna form a new what was he trying? He's trying to create a.
He's trying to develop like this anesthetic that can keep patients under for multiple days.
That's what it was, yeah. And I was rooting for him, like, oh, at this point I didn't know who the bad guy really was. I don't know which pieces or what players or what. But it was fun to see it unravel slowly, though.
Yeah, I am with you on liking that original show and thinking that was the Tales from the Crypt episode, and I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked that little fake out they had in the beginning. But then when you find out it's a TV show and you see the two real main characters, those two girls sitting on the couch, I like the episode even more. I was like, oh, now I really liked it. Like their reaction to what you were just watching is so funny. So
yeah.
And I don't know about you, but when you were a kid, I don't know, when I was a kid, my mom did watch soap operas. She did. And I remember her really being into them. There was this, I don't know if it was like Days of Our Lives or I don't know what it was. Which one's the one? I think it is Days of Our Lives because it always opened with like sand through the hourglass. These are the days of our lives. I would always be on. She'd be watching it. And I remember there was the kid stuck in the bottom of a well. And then this guy goes down to save the kid, but then the well collapses and then he gets knocked over the head. But then now he has amnesia. And like this is over the course of like weeks and weeks, this would go on to tell this bit of a story. And my mom would be all into it. So I don't know. Like I do have like a very distinct memory of my mom watching these ridiculous soaps. I should talk to her about them. I should talk to her about her old soap operas.
Yeah,
there were other ones too, but I can't remember. I just, for some reason, the Days of Our Life, maybe because I was just happened to be home from school when that particular one was on. So I remember hearing that one a lot. Anyway, so the next scene is Janet actually goes into that laboratory and sneaks up on her husband. He says, "What are you doing in here? You're not supposed to be in here when the red light is on." And she says, "I'm trying to effectuate a successful merger with my husband." She's basically doing exactly what she saw Fuchsia doing, right? She's exactly copying what she was doing before. But Leon is just so preoccupied with his research. He really, he doesn't have time for her. He says, "I'm trying to make medical history. What is more important than that?" Basically, this is where Leon kind of gives you the rundown of what he's working on. So he's working on that anesthetic that's supposed to last for multiple days, even weeks. So a patient can have a very complex surgery and have more time to actually perform the surgery. So we're talking implants of like vital organs and stuff like that. That's really, really what he wants to do. He says, let's go meet Cottontail, Mr. Cottontail. So he brings his anesthetic over to this like doghouse that's in the basement. He opens it up, this little bunny in there, and he basically gives does he actually give it to Cottontail at the time, or is that just when we get introduced to Cottontail?
Yeah, no, he has everything on a petri dish and he like feeds Cottontail. Like he like puts it next to Cottontail and Cottontail like takes it.
But he does, so at this point he's given Cottontail the anesthesia or anesthetic, and then okay. So yeah, this is where we meet Cottontail. Was there anything about this underground basement laboratory that you wanted to expand upon?
I thought it was cool. He has a laboratory in his house, and he's well off. But that was the first time I noticed, like, oh, she's like mimicking like what's happening, But yeah, the first initial glimpse after Luis leaves, and then she starts like fantasizing. I don't know what was happening. I'm like, oh, is what's happening now? Like, for a second, I was like, could this? Am I being like thrown off on purpose? I'm like, oh no, she was just fantasizing. I really thought it was another a fake out. We're like, oh no, that's the episode now, and the two prior were just jokes or something. So,
Oh, right.
But yeah, I was
right,
able to
right.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next scene, we're back up in the bedroom. Janet's alone in her room. She's working out on her little rowing machine and she's watching her favorite show. So at this point in the show within the show, Fuchsia has finally gotten Quebec and they're alone in bed together. And she's basically watching like a softcore porn, right? Like they're almost naked.
Yeah.
She's all over him, kissing him. And Quebec says, we should stop. And she's kissing his body. And she says, can you stop an avalanche once it starts to thunder wildly down the mountaintop? And she kisses his body. And she's like kissing his body in between her words.
Yeah.
She says, can you stop a waterfall crashing violently over a cliff? And then Janet is watching you. Like her face is like, she's like, I'm surprised she wasn't drooling. She's just staring at it. And she's like, no. At that moment, the husband returns in the show. He says, yes, you can. And then even Janet's like, Evian. His name's Evian, by the way.
So silly.
And he pulls out a gun. He points the gun at the wife and the Quebec. She says, no, baby, don't shoot. And he cocks his gun and he points it and the TV goes to static. And she's like, she flips out. No, she runs downstairs and she tries turning on the TV. And by the time she finally gets there, you hear the host saying, and that concludes another episode of There's Always Tomorrow. So that's her favorite show. I think that's where we first get the title. There's Always Tomorrow.
There's Always Tomorrow.
What did you think about this part of the segment?
I can relate. It's like, oh, you're just so just invested in the episode or in the story. You're like, you need to know how it ends. It's people hate cliffhangers, but for her, it was a technical issue where she really had a cliffhanger. Like,
oh my gosh,
she didn't know what was gonna happen next.
Oh my gosh. I know, and to be that invested in a show, you can see it on her face. She's completely smitten with the show, just absolutely enamored by the show, and the fact that she had to miss even if the small clip she missed was like nothing, it would have made a big deal to her. But the fact that it was the end of the episode where someone's getting shot is like, oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of a show. Can you think of a show you watched where something happened and you couldn't catch part of the show?
I guess it was just like back in the day when I would use the antennas on TVs, where it would like static out or like lose connection. That's about it, but nothing more recent than that.
Yeah. This is a weird story, and it wasn't much of a cliffhanger. I was in the theaters watching D&D. This is a long time ago, so like the 1990s or even early 2000s D&D. That one, and the movie was playing like normal, and then about halfway through the movie, suddenly the movie started playing from the end backwards and upside down.
What?
I don't know how to work a reel-to-reel. I don't know how movie theaters do their wind-ups, especially back, over 20 years ago. But what does that mean? Like, did they put the reel on upside down, or when they rewound the movie, did it end up? I don't know how they did it. But the movie started playing from the end backwards and upside down. It was very strange. I'll never forget it. And that's what I think of whenever I think of that Dungeons and Dragons, is all those dragons flying around backwards and upside down. That was really weird.
It's so funny, actually.
So anyway, so she runs downstairs. She doesn't catch the actual shooting, but she catches the end of the show. And then at that moment, Louise comes running over and did you watch it? Did you watch it? No, I missed it. So she basically says, he shot Quebec. No, below the belt. So she shot him in the crotch, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I love this conversation they have. This is where the episode gets very, very meta. In this particular way, I think this episode reminds me a lot of Corman's Calamity, where it's like, remember, Corman's Calamity was about Tales from the Crypt.
Yes.
Because this episode, Louise says to Janet, when are you going to join the rest of us in the 20th century and get cable? The picture's so much better. Plus, you get HBO. It would really improve the quality of your life. And she says, Leon thinks cable is frivolous. And Louise isn't having it. She says, CNN, frivolous. C-SPAN, frivolous. The Weather Channel, frivolous. Would Fuchsia hesitate because Evian thought something was frivolous? Or would she take, and they say it together, decisive action. Oh my gosh. Have two women together. This could be the show. If it was just these two going back and forth like this, I would have been completely content with this episode.
I agree. It's such a fun dynamic. The two of them just kind of amping each other up with like how they react to the episode. So it's such a good duo. Yeah.
It's so good. So this next scene is where we get the catalyst for the rest of the episode to really happen. And this, by the way, is where the sexual innuendo is next level. And I don't think there's a line of dialogue that doesn't have sexual innuendo. Whoever wrote this episode or whatever team of writers wrote this, they did great. They did so good. So this next scene, the doorbell rings. Janet goes to answer it, and it's the cable guy. He says, "Hi, I'm Abel with the cable."
I love it.
And she says, "I'm sure you are." So Abel enters, and he walks right up on her. He gives her a little once-over, and he stares right into her eyes, and he says, "So where do you want it?" And she's like, and he goes, "Your box." "Excuse me?" "Your cable box."
The setups are so fun.
Oh my gosh. It was so incredibly erotic and arousing in every way you can imagine. She was so, I bet she, oh my gosh, I don't even want to start to talk about what she was like doing. So she says, "Well, I need it more than once. I mean, I need it in different rooms. Can you do it in the bedroom too?" He says, "No problem." She says, "Will it take long?" I love this part. He says, "No, I run a line in from the street and do the first installation. Bing, bang, boom. The second one takes a bit longer, but it's more fun if you know what I mean." What do you think of Abel so far?
I love Abel. He's every like cheesy, like early pornographic male actor coming in, like, "Who ordered the sausage pizza?" And then he's like, "I'm Abel with a cable."
So, oh my gosh.
I like his intro. Yeah, it's so over the top.
You know what? Oh my God, it's so great. I wouldn't doubt if they hired just straight up porn actors to do these lines. But her reactions sell it so well, though, don't you think? Like she's so flushed and just like you could tell that she's having a hard time even thinking straight. She's so enamored and just completely turned on by this guy. So I love this too. By the way, we go up to the bedroom. He's hooking up the cable, and he's holding those old-fashioned coaxial cables, and he goes, "Male into female." And he puts them together, and she says, "Input?" And he says, "Output. Finished. You're all hooked up." And he's so sensual every time he says something too. Yeah. And he's starting to clean up. And of course he has a big old wrench or something like that. And she says, "That's quite the tool you have there. It's huge." He says, "It's not the size of the tool, ma'am. It's how you use it." "You certainly know how to use it. How many installations have you done in a day?" He says, 15. "My Phillips did so much screwing. I thought the tip would fall off.
So stupid.
Oh my gosh. And they're just staring at each other, right? And they're getting closer and closer and closer for that kiss. And that's when his pager goes off. He says, duty calls. If you have any problems, you can get immediate service by beeping me directly, day or night. And remember, it's Abel. And she says, as in, ready, willing, and you bet. Oh my gosh. I wanted so much more of this. This is like it's going to keep coming. Okay. This won't stop. But as of right now, I'm like, sign me up. Let's not stop. Okay. Keep the dialogue coming. I freaking thought it was so great. It was so funny. Now that she's alone in her room, she puts on her new favorite show. And this is where Fuchsia comes to visit Evian in jail, because Evian had just got finished shooting Quebec. Remember? So Evian's in jail. Fuchsia comes to visit him. She basically says, Quebec meant nothing to me. And she takes off her clothes and she reveals she's wearing all that sexy lingerie. And she says, you remember this? I wore it on our wedding day. And Evian says, oh, how can I forget? And they go right at it right there in the jail cell.
So crazy every time. I don't know which acting I like more. You know, I think Days of Tomorrow might have the better acting, but Janet also sells it really well. So I'm conflicted on who's better, but they're both equally funny in my eyes.
Oh, how meta would it be if it pulled out and you see like just a bunch of regular people like watching Janet, who's also watching Fuchsia.
That actually could be that might have been a Black Mirror episode, or that can be a Black Mirror episode.
Oh,
honestly,
yeah. I'm sure of it. Yeah. So this next scene, I think this is right after she gets the cable and watches this. So she's all worked up because Abel with the cable, right? Got her all hot and wild. And then she watches this scene of Fuchsia and Evian going at it in the jail cell. So she's all worked up. She puts on her lingerie. She goes downstairs into her husband's laboratory. And, Leon's just there. He's checking the vitals on Cottontail at this point. And she walks up and says, you remember this? I wore it on our wedding day. And he goes, you did? And she says, well, not all the time. You did remove it. And he's basically ignoring her. And Janet is like begging him, please, Leon, just take the night off. Come be with me. Come spend some time with me. And he won't, he's too busy. He wants to do his research. And she tries to seduce him. She kind of pulls him towards her and she backs up. And when she backs up, she ends up knocking into some beakers and they spill over. He gets all upset. So now he has to leave and go back to the university go back to the hospital to get more, plasma or something like that. So she's all alone. It was
plasma. Leon keeps rejecting her because he's trying to get that Nobel and he really wants to leave his mark. And it's unfortunate that he's like so close to making a breakthrough and she's just so like pent up and just annoyed and not getting her way.
Yeah. And for a moment, you do feel for her. Like she is desperate for her husband's attention, not just sexual, right? Like let's have dinner together or let's, and I think that's what she had planned, actually. I think she planned a dinner because in the very next scene, you see her upstairs eating a romantic dinner, a candlelit dinner with some champagne all by herself. So I think she does want more than just sex. That's definitely part of it.
I see.
She wants a companion. She wants somebody to sit on the couch with and watch her goddamn show. Like she wants that person in her life. And right now her husband is just not that person. So yeah, you do feel for her at this point.
Towards the very end, I felt for Janet, until it was unfortunate that her lust got the better of her, but it's just good idea, right? Yeah. She's bored, she is spoiled, but
she makes some bad decisions, but leading up to her bad decisions, you kind of see where she's coming from. Yeah, like I said, she's eating dinner upstairs, she's by herself, but then that's when Abel comes back. Abel comes back and she's wearing her nightie. She's basically wearing all of her, sexy lingerie that she was wearing for her husband. And she calls back Abel And she basically tells Abel, I'm having problems with my reception. I tried the knobs, but I'm not getting anything. And he walks up to her and he goes, well, I'm pretty good at playing with knobs. And she says, take a look, would you? And he goes to inspect the TV and he starts, grabbing some things and moving things around. And this is where she, again, channeling Fuchsia, she says, you're like me, Abel, I could tell. You've got an empty void in your life. We're like two lost travelers in a loveless, dark, frozen world. And the whole time Abel's working at the TV like, what? No, I got plenty of heating in my van.
Yeah.
So from behind the TV, he comes up and he says, I figured it out. Your male and female connectors need to be screwed back together. And she says, don't bother. The TV doesn't need to be hooked up. I do. And I love this part. He says, well, your equipment is in perfect condition.
Yeah.
They start passionately kissing right there. We fade out. And when we come back in, basically Abel's getting dressed and she's kind of, relaxing on the couch. So we all know what happened. So this is the point where I think Janet made a mistake and she let her passion get the better of her. I understand why she went this route. It is disappointing that she's, taking it to the level of having an affair. And I don't know, do you think at this point, that this is something that Abel was going for? Do you think he was trying to have this affair? Or it's kind of hard to say he wasn't because he did come on pretty strong.
Yeah, I want to say that Abel was doing his job initially. Maybe he was throwing out some more crass jokes at the time. But I think she's the one who really pretty much lured him into that whole scenario. Yeah. Yeah.
Because the main character is Janet. So it's the whole story is told through her eyes. Like, is this how she sees Abel as trying to seduce her? Or is this actually what's happening? Is he actually trying to seduce her? Like, I don't know. Like she might be reading too much into it and trying to make more out of it than was really there. I don't know. It might be one of the situations. It's the bottom line is I think they just were lusty for each other from the get. But I wonder if Abel has like a whole line of women down the whole neighborhood that he's kind of sleeping around with. I don't know. So after this whole fling thing, right? Abel leaves. And shortly after, Leon comes back home and she's lying on the couch and she says, have anything to say, Leon? The way it came out was almost kind of passive aggressive, but I think there might have been an underlying, like, let's address this. Let's address the fact that I just had an affair, right? Like have something come out of this, right? Like not necessarily punish me, but at least let's talk about it. And he didn't notice though. He just said, what's up with the TV? Because it's static. And he leaves and he says, call the cable man tomorrow. And she goes, oh yes, I will. So I do think in that moment, she kind of expected to be held accountable for what she did. But then when he didn't, it almost, at this point, I think in her head, it almost like gave her permission to continue doing it. So rather than having this just be like a one-off, like a one-time thing, I think that comment from him in particular kind of allowed her to spiral. She allowed herself to spiral into this affair because from here on out, she's diving in every single time. Whenever she can, she wants to have Abel. Abel is able with the cable.
Abel is able. Yeah, I love that.
So this next scene, Abel comes back. I think probably it's the next day, right? The next morning, and they're in the bedroom, and he says, "What seems to be the problem?" And she goes, "Oh, vertical hole." He says,
so
he says, "How about a rerun of last night's show?" And she says, "I hate reruns. How about an encore presentation?" I just can't. So I'm just so tickled with this stupid dialogue. That's so funny. So they're starting to kind of get hot and heavy right there in the bedroom. And at that moment, Leon comes back home. So she goes, "This is my husband." He comes upstairs and basically he's acting like he's kind of putting the cable back together and kind of playing it off like he's just the cable guy because that's what he is. So in this moment, we learn that Leon is taking a leave of absence until he finishes his work. which means he'll be home all day. And you even see Abel like, damn, like he wanted to be able to come and sleep with this woman whenever he wants to. He doesn't want to have to worry about the husband being home too. So the husband leaves to go back downstairs to do his research, and he says, as soon as I'm finished with my anesthetic, I'll be there for you. But right now, I'm just not able. And she goes, you sure aren't. Also, by the way, did you notice when he got the cable back on, what was playing on the TV?
Yeah, I actually did notice what came on for a moment, and it was just the intro to Tales, and I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It was good.
Tales from the Crypt. It was this moment right here. It was this moment. It was that moment right there.
So cool to see that.
Yeah, that's again a lot being that meta, right? Because they get HBO, so they get all the great channels like Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Okay, so they go back downstairs, and Abel's getting ready to leave, and she goes, "You don't have to leave. You can stay here. My husband is going to be down in the basement for hours, and you'll know when he's going to come back up because that red light will turn off. When the red light turns off, you can just leave through the garden." So she doesn't want him to leave. Even with the husband home, she's not willing to have him leave. She's willing to continue with this affair while her husband is downstairs, which that in and of itself is like the horrific part of this episode, to think that your lover, your spouse could be having an affair upstairs while you're working downstairs. Like that can really make your skin crawl, especially if you've been through something like that. I can imagine. I am fortunate enough in my life to have never been cheated on, and I have never cheated. And but if that was something that ever happened in my life, I'm sure it could really mess you up. And just the idea of somebody having an affair that close to you, who means that much to you, like that to me is the horrific part of the episode. And I felt that when she says stay here and basically, sleep with me anyway. There's like it's a handheld camera that's like spinning around them while they're spinning together. It's very dizzying and disorienting, and then they fall down together on the couch. And I actually felt that out of control feeling, like this should be a horrific moment, but it's not, kind of a feeling. And then it kind of hit me like, oh, they're literally having an affair with the husband downstairs. So that to me is the horrific part of the episode is that affair with the husband so close in proximity. And let's not forget that they were willing to sleep with each other right there in the bed where she sleeps with her husband. So like, I guess there's not a lot of, towards the end there is, but there's not a lot of gruesomeness in this episode. But really, I think the horrific part is that affair.
Yeah, I guess I never took that as a horrific moment. Like that is a valid fear if you're married with somebody. But I like the husband though. He's acknowledging that he's just busy at work because he is trying to accomplish something. But he said once he's has all that availability again, they can go back to whatever it is that they're used to doing. Dates or just role playing or something. Just something lusty, I guess, because knowing her background. So I felt bad that it has came to this point where he was just so busy.
Yeah. Yeah, because up to this point, he hasn't really acknowledged the fact. He sees her as a nuisance, or saw her as a nuisance the first couple times that she tries to do something with him. But this is the first moment where you see, like, look, once this is all finished, I'll have more time for you. Right now, I'm just not able.
Mm-hmm. Not able. I'm not able.
After this little twirl back onto the couch, we fade out, we come back in, and we're back in with another episode of There's Always Tomorrow. And Fuchsia is with Evian, and she wants to go do something. She wants to be romantic with Evian. He says, I can't, Fuchsia. I've been seeing someone else. And Fuchsia says, but who? You've been in prison. Oh my God. So Evian, I think, is sleeping with another man, Godden.
Oh my God. The two stories are so good.
I love it.
Just like the parallels.
It's so stupid. It's funny. So, and then that's where we reveal that Abel and Janet are cuddling on the couch together. And I guess this is that same encounter, but because it's filmed in kind of a montage type of way where we go from them lying on the couch together, then we go to the TV show, then we come back to them on the couch. It very well could be the same encounter, but it also kind of, I think, lends itself to assume this could be number 3 or 4 or 5, right? I don't know. So at this point, we lose count. The red light goes off and Abel exits through the garden. And that's another thing too, is Abel exits so routinely as if he's done it before. He gets up casually, he puts his clothes, he kind of gets himself settled, and then he just walks out that garden door. So I did get the sense that this might be encounter number 3 or 4. I don't know though. So Leon comes up to report on his research. He says, Day 10, Mr. Cottontail is resting comfortably. I hope you're not too lonely. And she says, I'm managing. So again, we get that softer side of Leon. He's actually, he's having some empathy and sympathy for her. He's saying, I'm hoping you're not too lonely. At that point, had she not been having an affair, she could have said, right, I am lonely. I miss you. And maybe they could have had, I don't know, maybe they could have had dinner that particular night, or maybe they could have done something else. But I don't know. She was managing, so she wasn't interested in having any of his attention.
Yeah. So sad.
So this next scene, this is again, Janet is channeling Fuchsia. Abel's on the couch. He's shirtless and she's laying on top of him. And she's saying, can you stop an avalanche once it starts to thunder wildly down the mountaintop? Can you stop a waterfall from crashing violently over a cliff? Kissing down his chest, down his stomach. Yeah. She eventually, gets to the pants. Yes. And then, but the funny part is you go down to the basement to the husband who's just finishing up his experiment, and he's like, yes. So, and this is the part that got me, by the way. So Janet and Abel are upstairs on the couch. Okay. And he's downstairs so excited about his experiment. And he finally gets Mr. Cottontail back up, and Mr. Cottontail is just fine. He's so excited that he's pulled off the impossible. And the first thing he wants to do is tell Janet. He says, Janet, you're going to be so proud of me. And he runs upstairs so excited without turning off that red light. So already we know what's going to happen. But my heart sank in this part because of the fact that the first thing he didn't want to call his colleagues. He didn't want to go back to work. He didn't want to do any of that. He didn't want to bask in his own glory alone. He wanted to include his wife in his success. And that's what got me, Godden. That's what got me. So he runs upstairs and he goes out and he sees Janet and Abel just going at it on the couch. And they're not just going at it. They're lust, like so much lust between the two. And Janet is saying basically, I want your body. Oh, take my body. And he goes, oh yes, I want your body. And they're just going at it. And again, we get that handheld camera start spinning around him like he's losing control. He's getting all the dizzy effect. He runs back downstairs and they're upstairs. You get this montage of them upstairs going at it with him kind of pacing around downstairs. And again, I got that feeling of dread. Imagine knowing that your loved one, that your spouse is just in the next room getting banged by somebody else and loving it. And you're down here brooding in the basement. I could imagine if you have gone through an affair, this would be a horrific episode for you to experience, to have to relive that type of trauma. Anyway, I'm fortunate enough to never have gone through that, but I can only imagine how my mind has wandered like that. And I've imagined something like that happening. And I'm sure it cannot encompass the true feeling of witnessing something like that could be, and then to be downstairs like that in almost a panic, like, what do I do? What do I do?
Mhm.
Well, we're about to find out what he does, Godden.
What's gonna happen?
Before I get there, though, did you have any thoughts about him running upstairs and witnessing?
No, yeah. I'm just on the same boat. You just feel bad. Like, yeah, he just wanted to share it with her. But I do like how whatever's happening upstairs, it was kind of happening downstairs. Like the yes.
Yeah.
And it was just so random that he was doing the same time that Abel was doing it. But yeah, I felt bad. So I guess when I saw this one, I'm like, oh, I guess it's the twist. Like, I guess this is what we're about to be shown the twist here. So I'm kind of glad that he made his choice on what happens next. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So they're still at it on the couch. He comes up with, I guess, some chloroform or something like that, puts it over their mouth, knocks them both out, brings them downstairs, and he gives them that anesthetic that he was working on. And he says, first on Mr. Cottontail, then on humans. Or should I say, subhumans. I like that part too.
Yeah.
So we get kind of a colorful montage of really bloody surgical tools being used in different ways. And we get him basically giving a recount of what's going on, how many days it's been. And I get it's 15 days ultimately. So 15 days they're under anesthesia and they're being operated upon. And then they wake back up on the couch and they're like, what happened? Oh, you really knocked me out. You really tired me out or whatever. And we get the reveal that he actually took their heads off and switched their heads. And he says, you lost your heads over each other. Not the most horrific ending, kind of almost, it's very slapsticky, but it's also a very slapsticky episode. But yeah, they basically switched their heads and they got each other's bodies. So there's that. Not very horrific, but again, I found the more horrific part of this episode being that whole affair so close to your loved one. I really found that very gross, unsettling, and he was busy. He was busy. Had she been more patient, she could have been there to share that joy with him when he finally got his discovery. It was only 15 days. He was only down in that laboratory for 15 days, obsessed about this research he was doing. And 15 days later, he got it. He was excited. He came up and she could have had all the attention. She could have had all the praise that she had been waiting for. And they could have been together. And instead, this is kind of the bed she made for herself. So what do you think about the twist? What do you think about the ending before we get to the Crypt Keeper?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. It is more slapstick than what we're used to. I think you and I were looking for some gore, something more just raw, but yeah, it's an okay twist. I feel like, like I guess he couldn't kill them, but he needs to put. Like I remember the Leon saying like, "Oh, but I need to punish her like how she broke my heart," just make her feel the same way I felt. So I'm glad he didn't kill. You know what I mean? Like he's not gonna get thrown in prison, but definitely something will happen for sure. So
yeah, I do remember him saying that. No, she needs to feel the way I feel. I remember him saying that. Well, that brings us back to the Crypt Keeper, who is again playing golf. A very loose connection to the episode, but whatever. He says, "Well, looks like Janet and Abel have become rather attached. Talk about being stuck on each other. I guess next time Janet wants to cable up, she'll be a little more careful about it. Anyway, gotta go back to my game." He hits a golf ball into the skull of a human, and he says, what did he say? He said, how come that part didn't copy paste? I gotta look back. Yeah, I should, you know what? I don't know why I copy paste it into my notes. I should just read it from the damn website. I don't know why I do it this way. Why am I so stupid, Godden?
Because we're not professionals, Kenny.
What do you know? A paw for the corpse. That's what he said.
I like that.
The twist was okay. I wasn't a huge fan of the twist. I guess it did play with the idea of, I want your body, like, so they can have each other's body. Mm-hmm. I get that part of it. I don't know. It was just a bit too, it was a bit too far-fetched for the rest of the episode. To be honest with you, I missed Louise.
Oh yeah.
I wanted
What
more
happened to her?
Louise. I wanted more of them together. You know, maybe they both could have been arguing over Abel, and they could have become. I don't know. I wanted more of them, and it just became too much about Abel and Janet. And to be quite frank, I wanted more of There's Always Tomorrow.
Of course, the better show.
So, okay. What about other shows or movies or something that feature affairs or spouses who are too busy for each other? There's plenty of movies about affairs, though, right? Those aren't hard to find.
Yeah. There's a lot. You can start anywhere from
Where do
rom-coms to
where do you
serious.
begin, right? What about more specifically like switching heads or switching body parts? I think of The Switch, right? The Tales from the Crypt episode with Schwarzenegger.
That's a good one, yeah.
Right.
I think of Face Off.
Face Off.
Yeah, that's what
Yes. I want his face off.
Yeah.
Stupid Nicolas Cage.
It has the same kind of vibe, you know. Like,
Oh
with,
my
like,
gosh,
the,
you're
soap
right.
opera.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Face Off.
Yeah.
And then of course, like there's a mad scientist route, right? You can think of the mad scientist. It made me think of the Don't Go in the Basement, the Goosebumps story, where the dad was like a botanist working downstairs, but he actually was a plant and they were trying to stay away from him. So I kind of got that vibe early on when he went down into his basement, and it made me think that might be an avenue for the twist. Maybe he's up to something. Maybe the husband's up to something, but that's not how it ended up going. All right, Godden. For score, I'm going to give this episode. I think it's pretty good. Okay. It's fun. It's definitely not top tier because of the fact there's not much gore, but there's a lot of fun dialogue and there's a lot of fun, just over the top situations and very slapstick. So I'm going to give this not a 4, but I'm going to get it to a 3.75 avalanches thundering wildly down the mountaintops.
That's so funny. You love that line.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty close to the score because after thinking back to it, the twist was okay. You know, there wasn't a lot of violence, no gore, right? They just had a body swap. I guess the most gore violence was the montage of the tools that were definitely with red paint, not like a blood texture,
Yeah,
but
it was
just
very vivid red.
different thick. Yeah, it was very vivid red. But I enjoy the show. Like I said, it was really fun dialogue, really good character chemistry. No one really stands out like you hate. Like everyone's equally lovable, or just like they played their part well. I'll just do 3.8 innuendos. I'll do that one.
3.8 sexual innuendos.
Yeah,
I like that. Oh,
that would
good.
be my
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I liked it. And it wasn't a great episode, but it was so much fun. Just the dialogue really elevated it. And I mean, it could have been a lot more of a dud had it had the actors not had the chemistry that you mentioned, and had the dialogue not been so just spot on and hilarious. I could see this episode easily, being a lot lower, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. And that brings us to Horrorspondence. Now, full disclaimer, Godden and I are working on getting kind of ahead on filming so we can get ready for our season finale, our ranking. So we're filming this episode just a day or two after our previous episode that we recorded. So we don't have any Horrorspondence yet. Okay, we're still waiting on Horrorspondence, but I still want to turn it out to you guys. So if you have listened to this far in the episode, I want to invite you to the comment section. Comment down below, what is your guilty pleasure TV show? What's a show or soap opera that you're kind of embarrassed about other people knowing that you watch? Now, I realize it's going to be embarrassing, right? To comment something that, right, that you're embarrassed about watching. So I'm going to start. Okay. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to say it. Godden, my guilty pleasure TV show. You ever watch 1,000 Pound Sisters?
I've seen clips.
That's my guilty pleasure. That's the show that I am embarrassed to tell my coworkers I watched. I'm embarrassed to tell my friends I watched, but here I am on YouTube telling a bunch of strangers, yeah, I enjoy 1,000 Pound Sisters. I started watching the damn show as a train wreck. I can't believe this. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And next thing you know, I'm like, wait, what did Tammy say? Wait, what? Who? Oh, I can't wait till next episode. So there you have it. My heart on my sleeves. My guilty pleasure is 1,000 Pound Sisters. I watched that show on it's actually on HBO. How funny is that? And I enjoy it so much. So that's my guilty pleasure TV show that I watch. Godden, are you brave enough to tell us your guilty pleasure TV show?
Yeah, of course. So when I was younger, there was actually a specific Philippine program, and what they did was they will ask their viewers to like share like a really sad story, just like strong anecdotes, and then they'll recreate the events and show it on live TV. They'll just make a soap out of it, but inspired by true stories. So that used to be my guilty pleasure when I was younger, because my family doesn't really watch a lot of dramas, but then I enjoyed watching it. But I think nowadays, something more concurrent might be those dating games like Pop the Balloon or Find Love. They just have contestants pretty much just surface level, just rating people left and right, and it's fun drama, honestly.
How funny that it's like a romantic
interact.
dating show, and we just got finished with this episode.
Yeah.
All right. So there you have it. We are here embarrassing ourselves with our guilty pleasure TV show. So go ahead and leave that in the comments. What are you embarrassed about? What secret thing do you watch that you don't want anybody else to know? We won't tell anybody. It's okay. Okay. With that out of the way, let us invite you to come on here next week. We'll be watching season 3, episode 14. The episode's called Yellow. It's the season finale, and it will come to you Friday the 13th. If you want to follow along, make sure you watch that before next week. And until then, we here at the Cryptique Podcast wish you all sweet nightmares.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?